in a McLaren P1. I am driving a McLaren P1. This can't be real. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, this is a car that turns me into a giggling child.
Hybrids are pretty fantastic. You can plug them in, charge them, drive them in electric mode, drive them in hybrid mode. They're really good for your fuel economy, and they're especially fantastic when they're a hybrid like this. The McLaren P1, my favorite member of the so-called hybrid hypercar Holy Trinity between the P1, the Porsche 918 Spyder, and the Ferrari LaFerrari. This one is the most rare with a production run of 375 total, and today we get to drive one and review it. The McLaren P1 has a hybridized powertrain, combining a 3.8-liter twin-turbo V8 that's related to the one found in the 12C and the 650S, but with bigger turbos and more power. 727 horsepower from the V8, and then there is an electric motor that makes 176 horsepower for a combined total output of 903 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque. All of that power is sent to the rear wheels via a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. And even though this is rear-wheel drive only, all of that power means it's fast, very fast. 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds, up to a top speed of 217 miles an hour. In terms of exterior styling, this car is a decade old, but it still looks brand new, just jaw-dropping. I mean, it's a hypercar. Up front, the design language really signified a new direction for McLaren's vehicles. You've got the headlights that imitate the shape of the McLaren swoop. The hood is very aggressively vented with those two nostrils, very functional. And then obviously the doors go up, a McLaren signature design cue and functionality. You can see the carbon fiber tub. This car, everything on it is carbon fiber. You see it exposed on the door, on the front end, on the back. It is just a symphony of carbon fiber, and this one, a glorious Genesis blue paint. McLaren paints are fantastic, and it looks absolutely amazing on this P1 too. Around back, you have just open. You can see these two fans. You can see through this mesh grille into the thin outline taillights indicators following the body line. And right now we have this car in race mode, which lowers the suspension all the way down, max aggression, max track attack mode, and raises that rear wing all the way up. It's an active wing with DRS, multi-position, and it just looks so good sitting here. I can't believe it. There's a McLaren P1 sitting right here, and we're about to hop inside and take it for a drive. So we're gonna get in the car, talk about the interior, talk about what it's like to drive, and we'll discuss the value too, because these are worth a lot.
A McLaren P1. I am driving a McLaren P1. This can't be real. Oh my God. Let's talk about the interior. It's very McLaren inside, and by that I mean minimalistic. There's just not much there, right? You would think it might be all space age screens and all these crazy dials and stuff like that, but McLaren always has trended towards just minimalistic focused. I just got out of a Ferrari SF90 and the steering wheel had 8 million screens and buttons and toggles and little switches. This has 2 paddle shifters, and it does have the iPass button and the DRS button, which actually is more than other McLarens. Usually McLarens just have nothing on the steering wheel. It is just for driving. We have a fixed center screen, digital screen, which really all you need to focus on is the speed and your tachometer. We have the infotainment screen vertically oriented here, kind of like a smartphone. That's not the best system. McLaren's Iris system in the 12C was not the greatest. And in a P1, I mean, I think it looks almost the same as the Iris 2 system, but that's not a focus for this at all. There are some buttons and toggles that you do need to know about. So engine start stop at the top here with an E mode button. So if I press E mode, engine turned off. We're in pure electric mode right now in the P1. It can do something like 12 or 17 miles of range, but in real world it's going to be a lot less than that. We're currently showing 4 miles of range. It's probably going to be like 5 to 7 in reality, I think. There's a charge mode. We can change between all these different hybridization modes because this is a hybrid McLaren. And then coming down, we have the active panel. So there's an active button that you push, which then allows you to use the toggles to go between your handling and your powertrain. And I have both of those currently in sport, though in E mode it's deactivated right now. But that's what I was driving in because track is for the track, and this is not my car, and it costs a lot more than my house. And then we have launch control, race mode, which you hold and make it go into race mode, which is really awesome. And then there's the boost button, which I believe enables the iPass, which essentially torque fills or just boosts with the electric motors. So the P1 is a lot of carbon fiber inside. Actually pretty good space. I mean, McLarens do well in terms of interior human space, passenger capacity, just that type of space. We've got the glass roof up here, which is really nice, gives it an open, airy feel, and everything in here is either carbon fiber or Alcantara. Literally, I think that's a 100% true statement. Everything is carbon fiber or Alcantara. Now we're driving away in electric mode. Okay. This is very interesting, actually. But screw that. But I'm in a P1 and I want to experience the full 903 horsepower. So let's turn the engine back on. Active panel, manual, couple downshifts. Noises? I'm speechless. So driving the P1 is, as you just saw, a visceral experience. It is exhilarating. The power it just goes. It is rear-wheel drive only, and you gotta respect that. It's a lot of power. For a car to do what this can do, but also, when driving normally, just feel kind of like a 650S or a 720S. But then, when you get the full force fury, on liftoff, you hear the blow-off of the turbo noises that this car makes, and you can hear that roof scoop right here. The air and the engine noise. This is unlike any McLaren I've ever driven. Oh my gosh, what a machine. Let's talk some more technical specs if my brain can unscramble itself for a moment to kind of present some of the information. So dry weight is quoted at just over 3,000 pounds. So despite the fact that it has the hybridization, the electric motor, which always adds weight, EVs get heavier, right? And we have the battery pack, which adds weight. The fact that the rest of the car is all carbon fiber, the carbon tub, minimalistic to the max, it is still quite a low curb weight. You want that. Weight is the enemy for performance, for acceleration, turning, braking. Speaking of braking, the P1, McLaren partnered with their Formula One supplier for brakes, Accabono, and they developed these new brake compounds that were only ever before used in space, so like lighter, stronger than conventional carbon ceramics. The brakes on this are tremendous too. The suspension, like the Super Series McLarens, has the fancy hydraulic system, which means it rides actually very comfortably for something that is a hypercar, a track-focused monster. This is quite comfortable cruising along, just like some of the other Super Series McLarens. The transmission, a 7-speed dual clutch, very, very quick shifts, but also pretty civilized. And like the other McLarens, with the carbon fiber paddle shifters that are fixed to the steering wheel, they are on this rocker system. So I can pull the right paddle, I'm already in 7th gear. I can pull the left paddle for a downshift. I can also push the right paddle for a downshift, and the opposite's also true. Yeah, I know a 720S, a 765 LT can get close to this performance now. It's getting the barriers lower and lower, but something about the P1 just feels a little more special. Maybe it's that extra torque fill from the motor. It's the noises for sure, and just the fact in my mind that I'm sitting in one of 375 worldwide McLaren P1s. This car, when it came out, was $1.15 million before options, and most of them I think are still trading for $1.5 to $2 million. I'm in a car that costs over $1.5 million, one of the most rare, most prestigious hypercars in the world. Oh my gosh. Some people say never meet your heroes, but I just did, and I am more than blown away. My excitement, I'm struggling to contain it. Oh my God. So with iPass enabled, when you press that, this can do 0 to 300 kilometers an hour, which is 0 to 186 miles an hour in under 17 seconds. We're not going to do that right now because we'll go to prison, but... That was full throttle on a P1. I'm going to take my sunglasses off so you can see my expression better. So I've gotten to drive some pretty high horsepower cars. Just recently, I was in a Ferrari SF90, which makes more, 986 horsepower, but that is all-wheel drive, and that was almost drama-free. Fast as heck, but it doesn't have the exhilaration, the emotion, excitement. My friend Mike, his tuned Pista and GT Black Series, those are supposed to be about 900 crank, so comparable to this. But something about this just feels different. Oh my God. This car does it all. The design hasn't aged. It looks brand new. If McLaren launched a new car and it looked like this, I would still just be in love, and it would fit in perfectly with the Bugatti Chiron, the latest Koenigsegg's. This is a legendary car and will live down, I think. I know it doesn't have the top speed of the F1, but I think long term this will join the F1 as the greatest McLarens ever made. The F1 commands a whole different level of respect, and obviously McLaren stopped making road cars for quite a long time. But for me, being younger, and this to me is just so epic. We did talk about value a little bit, and I talked about some of those numbers, and it's staggering how much these cars cost, right? It's unfathomable to most people. This is it 20 times more valuable than a R8? I don't know if you could make that argument. It's not 20 times faster, but there's a diminishing returns as you get to this level. There's the rarity, the prestige, just the value retention. I think this will keep going up. Between this, the 918, the LaFerrari, I still think I would love this, and I haven't even been in either of those. I actually was a little nervous before getting to drive this car. Last night, I'm like, I might be driving a P1 tomorrow. It's rear-wheel drive, 900 horsepower, and it costs more than my entire life. I was a little bit scared. I'm like, I'll take it easy, but I got comfortable in this car. I mean, getting into temperature, the seats fit you very snugly. You're just held in here. If I was any fatter, I definitely would not fit in this car at all. I would not really want to take it on a long road trip. They're fixed. There's no adjustability. It's forward and back, and it's just there. All right, let's do one more of these acceleration runs. That's unbelievable. This video could have just been me doing one acceleration and just being silent as my mind tried to process it. I can't believe what this car is like. So there it is, the McLaren P1. What a car. I mean, it is noisy in here, it is visceral, but it's all part of the experience. What an event driving a P1. Thank you so much, the owner, Daryl. I can't thank you enough for letting me experience this car. He just threw me the keys, goes, here, enjoy it. And I definitely did. I'm gonna bring it back home now. I can't believe I got to film this video. This is one of the best days of my YouTube life. I got to drive an SF90 and a P1, and I did it the right way. Started with an SF90, which was impressive, a lot of fun, but this was the right way to end it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I certainly enjoyed making it. Thank you so much.